Thank you. So we'd like to start our electoral area meetings with an acknowledgement that we're on the land of the local Indigenous groups. So I'd like to start this meeting by recognizing the homeland of the 30 First Nation communities of this area we now call the Fraser Valley Regional District, where we live, work, and learn. Important decisions that we make at a local government level can affect First Nation communities and Indigenous peoples and organizations in many different ways, both today and in the future. So as part of our collective responsibility, I commit that we continually examine the work we do to ensure that our project plans, initiatives, and discussion are guided by the principles of inclusion, collaboration, and reconciliation. So with that in mind, I'd like to call to order the November 9th, 2023 meeting of the Electoral Area Services Committee. And I believe my chair's report. And we have two directors in the ether today, Director Davidson and aloha to Director Dixon.
They are. Aloha, how are you?
Feel like I'm on, what was that movie? Ridgemont High or something? So the report on RACs this morning, fairly quick meeting. Director Horn had some questions surrounding the costs associated with the $10 fee to access Freedom of Information requests. We talked a little about the asset management policy, and directors had questions regarding the costs associated with this program to the electoral areas. Staff pointed out that this is the first phase of the project and that the project costs would be carried region-wide. We also talked a little about the strategic plan. Director Horn had a brief comment and complimented staff on this project. And I think that covers the RACs committee meeting this morning. Looking for an approval of the agenda. I move Director Wardenberg, second Director Adamo, all in favor, contrary, motion carries. And I will turn things over to Ms. Kim.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. So item 5.1 is the draft Electoral Area Services Committee meeting minutes of October the 12th, 2023.
Motion, move Director Adamo, second Director Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
6.1 is the FVRD board and committee schedule for 2024.
Motion, move Director Wardenberg, second Director Makahonic. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
6.2 is Electoral Area Advocacy Standing Committee for UBCM meeting requests. There is a motion for your consideration.
So moved.
Moved Director Castle, second Director Diane, Director Johnson. Any discussion, Director Castle?
Yeah, I just want to thank staff for getting this on our agenda very quickly. UBCM was just a couple months ago, and this was something that I asked for in the last meeting. So I'm very excited to see this on the agenda and look forward to an opportunity to serve in that capacity.
Thank you,
Dixon.
Director Davidson was up next, and then Director Dixon. Go ahead, Director Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. Through to staff and anybody else sort of involved with this one. I'm curious, what's the rationale behind carving out or creating a separate committee for this? And I totally agree with the need and the concept, by the way, as opposed to addressing it through just a regular East Committee of the Whole session. Just help enlighten me on that one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Director Davidson. Staff.
Sure, through the chair to Director Davidson. This model came about through conversations with the chair of the board, as well as with colleagues around the province about the way that they proceed in this regard. I would tell you that typically regional districts often deal with advocacy just using the chair of their Electoral Area Services Committee and the CAO. This is a little bit of a different model that would draw on more members of the East Committee to drive this work. In some cases, it's just the chair of the board and the CAO that develop the agenda. for advocacy at UBCM. So I felt that in conversations with our electoral area services committee members while at UBCM, and just thinking about our past history, that a standing committee made more sense. And so a group of 5 seemed to be about the right number. Happy to accept any other suggestions. This was brought to the table today for that very purpose of having the conversation. We want to try to align the advocacy efforts with the broader board, as well as those that are coming forward from individual electoral areas.
So if I can continue just where I'm on it, totally agree with the need. I think a steering committee would, or standing committee would fit that need. I'm just a little wondering a bit about, if you're going to have 4 EASC members on the committee, that means you're going to have 4 EASC members not on the committee, whereas a committee of the whole process would be a bit more inclusive. Granted the need that you do need to move this forward and come to a consensus, ultimately that consensus is going to have to potentially bubble back either through EASC or the full board anyway. So I can go either way. I'm just basically offering up the committee of the whole approach with all of us as an alternate. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Davidson, Director Dixon, and then Director McElhaney.
Just thank you for bringing it forward. I like the idea of having a more coordinated approach, and sometimes a little bit smaller numbers are easier to have the, fulsome discussion, but quite frankly, I could go either way.
Good. Thank you,
Thank
Director
you.
Dixon. Director McElhaney.
Yeah, I like the idea of having the collaborative approach and working, because I think what happened is, from my perception, was I didn't know what other people were advocating for or bringing forward, and we could have done that in a group quite easily. I think that would have been good. My question would be, and possible concern is, if somebody had an issue or a concern happening in their region or something outside of the group, would that preclude them from bringing it forward at UBCM? I would want to make sure that we didn't have anything that would exclude someone from being able to bring something important to their area that may fall outside of others. I mean, so that would be something I'd like to keep in mind. But I can
respond to that one. Through the chair to Director McElhaney. The idea would be that for very localized issues, individual EA directors could still request the staff level meetings at UBCM that they need to advocate for those issues. Typically, in the Lower Mainland, if we need to request minister level meetings outside of UBCM, we've been able to do that quite easily, because we can travel into Vancouver or Victoria more readily than, say, electoral area directors in the interior and the far north. So I think we would just proceed on a case-by-case basis and see how that goes forward. But the idea here would be that for minister level meetings, those would be coordinated and be very streamlined. But then for the very specific local issues, those would be at the staff level, and they could be requested by individual EA directors outside of this committee process.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director McElhaney. I thought the staff did a good job last September of keeping the directors prepared for these meetings, and felt it was quite an effective process. And I think the what is being talked about today would offer more improvements. So I think we should give this process a try and see how this works out. On the topic, all those in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Thank you. 7.1 is the Financial Plan 2023 to 2027 amendment for November 2023. There's a motion for your consideration.
Move.
Dixon.
Dixon. Second, Director Adamo. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
7.2 is a 2023 grant and aid request for the Boston Bar North Bend Enhancement Society in Electoral Area A.
Motion, Director Johnson. Second, Director Wardenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
7.3 is a 2023 grant and aid request for the Cultus Lake Park Community Events and Engagement Committee in Electoral Area H.
Move Dixon.
Director Dixon, second Director Johnson. Any discussion?
Dixon.
Director Dixon.
Just really happy to support this. It's a great event for our community, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of work goes into it. So come on up.
Good. Thank you, Director Dixon. Any further discussion? None. All in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
8.1 is a covenant for proposed two-lot subdivision at 53500 LG Road in Electoral Area D.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kinnaman, this property is of my own personal interest, and so I will declare conflict and excuse myself.
So with that, we will give Chair Dickey a moment to leave the room, and then we will turn the chair over to Director Dixon.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like he's out of the room. Could I have a mover for the motion on the agenda, please?
So Director Dixon.
Director Makahonic.
Yes. Oh, you can
Did I miss one? Yeah, and then Director Adamo seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. I don't see any hands. I can't see Director Davidson well. Okay. On the motion, all those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried.
Okay,
and,
thank you. And we'll just give staff a minute to go and retrieve Chair Dickey.
Okay, thank you.
If I could, it might be, there seems to be some background noise coming from some of the remote members coming in. So I'm just hearing some background noise. So I'm not sure where it's coming from, but it'd be great if that could stop.
We'll have staff keep an eye on the mics. Thank you, Chair, Director Castle. All right, so Chair Dickey, we're now at item 8.2, which is Agricultural Land Commission application for non-adhering residential use at 36936 McCamey Road in Electoral Area G.
So moved.
Move Director Castle, second Director Davidson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
8.3 is waive notification sign requirements for zoning amendment bylaw 1716 at 26793 Dogwood Valley Road in Electoral Area B.
Move Director Adamo, second Director Wardenberg. Discussion, Director Adamo.
Yeah, thanks. It's a good idea to do that. There would be nobody would actually be able to see this sign, so it would be a real waste of money. So this was a great decision. Thanks for doing that. Good.
Thank you, Director Adamo. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
8.4 is a no-build covenant to allow subdivision at 53191 Bridal Falls Road in Electoral Area D.
Okay, moved Director Wardenberg, second Director Dixon. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
8.5 is Crown referral for Bridal Veil Mountain Resort, updated expression of interest in electoral areas D and E. There is a motion for your consideration.
Okay, for a motion, move Director Adamo, second Director Johnson. Any discussion? Just like to thank staff for a very comprehensive overview of the project and delineating very clearly to the province where we expect their responsibilities are in handling this project, and look forward to seeing this move forward. Director Wardenberg.
Yeah, it was a great report, very lengthy and detailed. And also looking at the cost, a lot of staff time. Is there any indication just how much staff time it took to do this?
If I may, through the
Yeah,
chair.
thank you, Mr.
Director
Downs.
Wardenberg. We've not tracked or accounted for the staff time involved in the preparation of the report, but the report author is here, Mr. Hasib Nadvi. Perhaps Mr. Nadvi would give us an estimate.
The Chair to Director Wardenberg, the report preparation it's not so much the report preparation that we have tracked, but it takes months of meetings with the province to come to this stage, and just to and once in a while talking to the proponents. So, and this is just one of the competing proposals. So between the two, there's a we invest, I wouldn't call it a significant amount of time, but it's hard to quantify, but I would say, 50 to 80 hours, something like that, between the two proposals, writing these reports, reading and reviewing the whatever information is provided by the province. But yeah, it's not so much the report writing, but the fact that we have to continue to engage with the proponents, which staff are happy to do, and work with the province. Of course, we appreciate the collaboration with the province in these matters and being kept in the loop. But always the request from staff is that the province finds a path forward to work with for one of the proponents to move forward, and then we can work with them when the development applications are made.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Hasib. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
8.6 is Fraser Valley Regional District Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1723 to implement cannabis regulations.
For motion.
I'll move it.
Director Castle, second Director Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
8.7 is Commercial Gravel Operation Permit 2023-04 for Fraser Valley Aggregates, Argus Aggregates at 70525 Highway 3 in the Electoral Area B.
Motion, Director Adamo, second Director Johnson. Discussion, Director Adamo.
Yeah, thanks very much. So this is not to be confused with the construction waste proposal that was put forward earlier in the year. This is the same site, so people are looking at it thinking, is this something new? This is an operation that's been around since 2007 and continues to do business as a gravel quarry. So they're just extending their program, as far as I know, for the next 5 years. So everything looks fine there, and that was some great work as well. Good report. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Adamo, and we certainly are happy to see these companies becoming part of the regional district regulatory infrastructure. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
9.1.1 is the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Emergency Support Services Grant 2024 endorsement request.
Motion. Director Johnson moves, second Director Castle. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Moving down to item 12, which is reports by electoral area directors.
Okay. Director Castle, would you like to start out?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Dickey. I was actually going to simply report that the cows are fine in Area G, but I didn't have an opportunity to check in with the cows, so I didn't want to give a false report. Just a couple of items. I did have an opportunity to meet with Chief Bars from North Fraser Fire Department, and he reported to me that morale within the fire department is up, as is recruitment and retention. There are new members joining the fire department, and some of the members who had left the department have been rejoining. So he was very optimistic with his team and the direction they're heading. The number of calls for service remains steady, and the demands on the volunteers that respond to the calls for service continue to stretch current resources. I'm also working with Chief Bars on a volunteer appreciation event for the volunteer firefighters that will be held at the Desroches Hall in March. I'd like to acknowledge that we've now reached the 1 year plus 2 days point of our 4-year term as directors. And as a newly elected member of this committee, I'd like to say thank you and express my appreciation to my fellow directors for their collaborative approach to the work we do around this table on behalf of the residents of our region. I must admit, as you all know, the first few months of this year were a bit rough for me as I struggled to figure out how things work in regional district world and how I can be most effective in my efforts to represent the residents of Area G. But I am happy to report, I think I've just about figured it out, not quite, but just about. And I want to express my gratitude to our staff for their patience with my many, many, many questions. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Chair Dickey for being available at the other end of the phone or an email to answer questions and talk me off the ledge. I look forward to continuing to learn and grow in my role as Electoral Area Director, and I'm proud to represent the residents of Hatzick Island, Dudney, Nacomin Island, and Desroches, otherwise known as Area G, on the Fraser Valley Regional District Board. Happy 1-year anniversary. We made it a year, guys. Everyone.
Good. Thank you, Director Castle. And obviously, you're a much quicker student than I am, because after 21 years, I still think I've got more questions than answers. Director Makahonic.
Yeah, hard to believe a year has gone by. And it has been a pleasure. I was talking to Diane about that. One of the kind of highlights of the job is getting to know and work with the other directors, and the staff have been very gracious and patient as well. So thank you. So I've been working with residents that are still having no resolution due to the loss of their homes or unsafe to be in their homes through the atmospheric river. So helping them approach government and try and really move this forward. They've had bad news again, so it's been really challenging for them. So really trying to be a support to them, and working with people in the community to talk to them about the sewage, lack of sewage hauling right now. That's been a concern. And just wanted to invite all the directors and the staff on November 17th. Ann Davis, Fortis BC, and the Chilliwack Chiefs at the hockey game will be doing a warm clothing drive for people that are most vulnerable. So bring your family, come on out and enjoy a hockey game, and for a good cause. So hope to see as many of you out there as can come. Be really nice to see the support. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Makahonic. Director Wardenberg.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for putting up with me for the last year. And hopefully everybody has lots of patience. Yeah, no, it was an interesting first year. Lots of learning. Still learning. Hopefully it doesn't take me 22 years, but you never know. Anyway, quick report. I met with Chief Joseph Chapman from the Scouts First Nations. I had a quick breakfast meeting a couple weeks ago. It was good to touch base with our Indigenous neighbors, and we just talked briefly about a few things that are happening and concerns that they may have. Thank you to Director Castle for putting on such a good show at the Harrison Mills Community Hall. On our successful fundraiser, raised over $5,000. I don't have the exact number yet, but over $5,000 for the Harrison Mills Community Hall, which happens to be in the district of Kent, but that's a different story. On a different note, I didn't mention this earlier, but I sit on the board for the Kilby Historic Site, the Kilby Historic Society is a not-for-profit that operates the site for the province, and they were granted a 5.5-year extension for the operation contract from the Minister of Culture. So that's good news for the area, and that's all I have for now.
Good. Great news, Director Wardenberg. You're a busy guy. Director Adam.
Thanks very much. Yeah, congratulations to all of us for surviving our first year, and thanking all the staff for all the help that they continue to give us for the next 3 years, because there will be some more questions that come up, I'm sure. I just want to really congratulate the community of Yale, who have been doing so many great things in their little community with their community center. They've had some successful events in the last month from their fall fair. They have a big Christmas event coming up as well. They've had a successful dinner, but the new organization that took over the museum hosted their fall fair, which I was one of the judges for the pie eating contest. And I'd like to congratulate all of those that made pies. I ate 7 pies that day, if anyone's asking. I did survive that, but the winner was the home restaurant with one of their pies. The second place came to our Yale ratepayers, Karen Virtue, our president, and third place went to the Rolling Pin with a very unique pie. So if anybody wants some pies, the Hope area and this area B is the place to go, apparently. So congratulations to all of them. And that's about it. Thanks so much.
If you ever need judges, I eat pie real good.
I'll keep that in mind.
Good. Thank you, Director Adamo. We're happy to see you looking a lot better. So, Director Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Well, ongoing conversations and correspondence with federal and provincial government in advocating for financial assistance for the families that lost everything in the Kukupee fire. And they, of course, were denied purchasing fire insurance. So where this will all end, I do not know, but at least there is communication. And I'm still getting a fair number of inquiries as to the septic tank issues and where that stands. Also trying to recruit volunteers for our fire department in North Bend and Boston Bar. And I've put it out there to chief and council of both Boothroyd Band and Boston Bar Band, and hopefully we can round up some more people to step up. That's about it. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Johnson. Director Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. I kind of share your observation about 21 years. It's year 5 for me, but I certainly find that the more I learn, the less I know. And I fully expect that to continue. And that's kind of the good part about this job, I find, is the learning. Couple things happened in Area F recently. We unfortunately had a structure fire that saw somebody's home basically as a complete write-off. Thanks to, as usual, to North Fraser for turning out and dealing with it as best they could. But yeah, it's a loss, unfortunately. The other news, it's mixed news depending how you look at it, but you may have heard of the fentanyl lab bust. That was essentially a few doors away from my own home, and it's one of the byproducts of living rural. You have large, quiet properties, and people aren't always up to good activities. If any of you followed the news media on it, it's interesting in this one is that somebody spray painted fentanyl on the street, set a tire on fire, and loosed off several rounds of ammunition just randomly, I think into the air. Nobody was hurt, thankfully, but it just as a way of drawing police attention to it and giving police sufficient evidence to get a search warrant and go on site and find the lab. But at least the lab won't be here anymore. There'll be some cleanup, and I know F-area bylaw is involved with at least monitoring that side of it, and we'll look forward to better neighbors in the future. But thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Davidson. And Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attended the AGM for the Columbia Valley Ratepayers the other day, and really good news. The association is active and doing well, and we elected 2 new trustees to the board, young people that are new to the valley, so that's pretty exciting. Also, our fire department has 4 new recruits, and that now have pagers, and they're training. I think it is another 4, so that's great news for our valley as well. lot of interest happening with the radon awareness in Columbia Valley. I did send out a little bit of information with links to the FVRD page. So just thanks to the staff for keeping that website updated, and people are interested and they wanting to test, and they're looking forward to when those detectors are available. We had a Halloween Hullabaloo Hillbilly event at Columbia Valley as well, and it was a great community builder and a lot of fun. And so I was a judge of a pie eating contest too, but I did not eat 7 pies, I'll admit that. And I only had to judge who was eating them nicely, or the worst, I guess. But anyway, recently had a tour of the gravel Pacific, I think it was Pacific Holding gravel, the gravel operation up Parmenter Road. And that was with Ministry of Mines and the owner, Mr. Kirkness, and just to see what's been going on there. He's working with the community to ensure that the operation is I guess, being as environmentally friendly as it possibly can. They have installed a tire wash, which is great news, and really made some really positive changes over the last year. So really happy to see that, and really also thankful with the willingness of everybody to work together to keep the area, our environment, anyway, to protect our environment. I had a Cultus Lake Water Safety Group meeting also at the beginning of November, and just a lot of good news. RCMP were out on the lake more, and just seeing them out there, oddly enough, causes people to behave a little bit better. And they did escort, I think, 7 boats back to the dock, and did a couple of patrols with Transport Canada. And so also we talked about the buoys, and the buoys have set up basically a safe zone for the non-motorized vehicles, and just lots of really positive comments from the paddle boarders and canoes, First Nations canoes and kayaks, and things like that. And just had a question. Parmenter Road is being, during the atmospheric river, the huge culvert blew out, so they are replacing that with an even bigger one. And so that's the work that's being done on Parmenter Road right now. The same thing's also happening up at Leisure Valley, and hopefully it does protect the people at Leisure Valley. I too am still trying to get some funding for the Leisure Valley home that was lost, and will admit that I'm really rather frustrated by the process, but we'll carry on with that. That's it for me. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Dixon. For myself, just comment that the TMX pipeline seems to be pretty much coming to an end. The work they're doing on the new pipeline, with relatively few scrapes and bruises. I am getting complaints that some of the public roads have been left in a bad state. Have staff heard anything that there might be a program to rehabilitate those roads?
Thank you, Chair. We are aware of some problems that have arisen around Halverson Road in particular. Is that the area that you're thinking?
Also near the Bridal Falls Resort Development, the Ranchers Restaurant, that area.
Yeah. No, that hasn't come to our attention just yet, but certainly we'll follow up with Trans Mountain and see what steps they're taking to resolve the issues.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, that brings...
Mr. Chair, could I do one more, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Director Dixon.
Sorry. An oversight. Last night in my area, there was the APTA Transportation networking meeting, and I obviously wasn't able to attend it, but I wanted to thank Director McConaughey and Director Dickey for...
We've lost you, Director Dixon.
What? You've lost me. All right.
Your mic seemed, you need to, rather than Hawaiian technology, maybe Mexican technology would work better, I understand.
Well, I don't know what that is. Okay, am I gone, or can you hear me?
Still not working well.
Okay.
A lot of distortion.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have audio, Director Dixon, for you, so I think what I heard you say is just for the committee's awareness, the FVRD is holding some active transportation um, workshops in various communities. And last night, one was held up in Area H. And I have not yet heard an update on how that was attended, but if you check out the FVRD website, you can see the list of workshops that are coming soon to a community near you.
Good. I've just gotten a text from Director Dixon that she'd like to thank Director Makahonic myself for attending in her place last night. Thank you.
I've got one more.
I was just, and the comment about the Hawaiian Mexican, staff tell me that when I Zoomed from Mexico, it was a better connection than my Zooming from Poplar. So, yeah. Thank you, Director Dixon, Director Adamo.
Yeah, I missed a couple of things as well. I'll be attending the active transport session this evening in Yale. So anybody from Area B that would like to come out to the Yale Community Center from 6 to 8 o'clock, the team from the regional district will be out there presenting. So I look forward to getting as many people out there as possible. And a congratulations to Holiday Trails Resort in the Sunshine Valley, who won the Halloween site contest that took place throughout the entire Upper Fraser Valley, with the most unique, specialized Halloween adventure that anyone could have. So they did a great job on that. So congratulations to them. And we'll see you all tonight in Yale.
Good. Thank you, Director Adamo. And I think that brings director's reports to an end.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. So moving down to public question period for items relevant to the agenda, we'll just turn things over to our corporate officer, Jamie Van Ness.
Thank you. So I see we do have 2 members of the public joining us in our boardroom today. So this would be your opportunity to ask a question relevant to the agenda. And if you have a question, you can just step up to the podium and just press the
good
button.
All right.
You might want to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Chair Dickey. My name is Jeff Wilson. I'm the Executive Vice President of Bridal Veil Mountain Resorts. And I'd like to thank you for the ability for us to ask a question here tonight, and to the regional district staff that have put work into both of these projects in electoral areas D and E that are before you guys today. We'd like to start by saying that we fully support the regional district's intentions regarding what we've talked about here today, especially in regards to consensus-based decision-making with local First Nations, and also working with the regional district and the province, and having a single proponent come forward for your consideration. We think those are all very valid concerns, and we're supportive of that. The question I have for you is that in response to the 2 projects that are before the regional district in electoral areas D and E, being the Cascade Skyline Gondola and our project, the Bridal Veil Mountain Resort, that for the last 30 years or so, the regional district has used a hazard assessment tool, the HAT, and based upon something called the CAVE report, to look into and to adjudicate what kind of risks geotechnically are in areas for building, for the purposes of building, rezoning, et cetera. And we'd like to know if it's the intention of the regional district to continue to use those tools for these projects in electoral areas D and E. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Staff.
Thank you, through the chair. The regional boards adopted hazard acceptability thresholds, which are built on what we call the CAVE paper. And those hazard acceptability thresholds essentially identifies different types of hazards and identifies levels that are acceptably safe for various kinds of development. So we accept more risk for an addition to existing single family home, and we would accept less risk, say, for a new subdivision that occurs in an area of a particular hazard where we're creating opportunities for new people to move in. So that's the current framework we use, and we apply it in all the applications that we receive. There hasn't been any items before the board that I'm aware of that are looking at changing our hazard acceptability thresholds. But we would acknowledge at the staff level that there are some kinds of hazards like catastrophic rock avalanche, which are major landslides like the Hope Slide. And those kinds of slides happen on frequencies like we consider the kind of landslide that would occur once, typically within a 10,000 year time frame. And consideration of those kinds of hazards is complicated. It's at the edge of technical and the limits of science to estimate frequencies for the kinds of long-term hazards, long-term rock avalanche hazards. And so in the future at staff, we're interested in exploring things like quantitative risk assessment, risk of death, which are just different ways of speaking about risks to people who occupy land subject to hazards. And that's a shift to looking at how likely it would be a person or a group of people are likely to die due to a hazard and in what time frame, as opposed to our current system, which looks at the probability of a particular hazard event occurring within different time frames. That perhaps is more detailed or perhaps more technical than what you're interested, but I could certainly offer to sit down with you, review our hazard acceptabilities, and perhaps have theoretical discussions about what the future of risk acceptance might look like in FDRD and elsewhere.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Danilus, and thank you, Mr. Wilson. And back to staff.
Sorry, I'll just note we currently do not have any members of the public joining us by Zoom, so no questions have been written in either.
Great, thank you, Ms. Van Ness. Ms. Kinnaman.
So looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Motion, move Director Adamo, second Director Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. Contrary, motion carries.
Okay, and if you could just give us 1 minute to set up the room.